Interesting piece, though.
Yeah, that's neat. I like that.
Yeah, and it was kind of nice to have people engaging. I need to contact you about perhaps subbing for me or looking in on me on that budget meeting on the 5th. So I'll email you.
Yep, just send me a message.
Yeah, I have a medical thing that'll make me goofy.
Well, I mean, that could make budget committee more fun.
It would, you know what? It would just brighten things up completely, like pinwheels, and yeah. Then everybody'd get mad.
It'd be fun for the audience to watch, though.
Yes. Oh, indeed. Like I think Beth, you and I understand, like doing this. That as teachers, the concept of having a hat or a stuffed animal or a puppet is what we do. Yeah. So if you see me pull out a puppet, it's just ignore it.
Yeah.
Keeping us engaged.
When we were doing remote learning and I had a puppet, you know, every morning we were doing the calendar and reading books and the kids were like, oh, how is Spotty Dog? I'm like, how am I?
It is. It's funny. So every time I did a video, I had a different hat on. So I went around and bought up all the hats in town. I don't have a fire hat though. I have to borrow one.
We might be able to get you one.
Yeah, well, just for broadcast to students.
There you go.
Yeah, I had hard hats and Navy hats and police hats and. And it's the silence that makes me want to sing.
Hey, John.
Go right ahead.
I talked to Vina about a resignation letter. She claims that she sent it in the mail and it should be in my inbox. Do we have somebody checking the select board inboxes regularly?
No.
Okay, probably we should do that.
Request that we do so?
We did.
We can do that.
The request went something like this. Check the inboxes regularly and tell us if there's something that we need to act on. That's how you found, or somebody found, the Di Benedetto letter. So yeah, we need to make sure we do that.
We can do that.
Yeah. And it's better to just have you sort through it first.
Yep.
To see if we need to act on it or whether you can handle it yourself, quite frankly.
Yeah, I'll handle what I can.
Yeah.
And get it out.
Yeah.
If it's something for an individual selectman that's clearly an individual, I'll send it to just one. Otherwise, I'll do my usual BCC to everybody.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Is it okay? I should have asked. Is it okay if we open mail that's addressed to any one of you as selectmen in order to facilitate the process?
Doesn't matter to me.
Fine with me. It's all public.
Yeah, you can do mine.
Unless it contains photographs, I'm out. Yeah, I'm good.
We're public officials. Mail's public.
Well, there could be confidential stuff in there. I mean, okay, we've just got Paul joining us.
Well, I have to say, Paul didn't look too flustered by 9 o'clock this morning, so I guess he got through the first day okay.
Thumbs up, Paul.
I didn't. That was the most stressful day ever.
Oh,
And then when I saw him about 12 or 12:30, he looked actually kind of calm.
good.
There he is.
Hello.
Paul, are you outside or is that a screen background?
Oh no, this is my backyard.
Oh, wow. Good for you. Nice. Is any word from Chris, John? You hear back from him in terms of him joining us?
I sent an email, but let me check. I don't think I had a response, but it was late when I reminded him with the, how to get on and everything.
There's Tim. Good evening, Tim.
Good evening, everybody.
The Wall Street Journal said it's bad form to eat in a video meeting, but I'm hungry. Sorry.
Let's cancel the meeting and have supper then.
Well, I think this one will actually go okay, and we'll maybe not get done too late, but.
You can't get into the ice cream time.
All right. I have the consent agenda. Lisa just sent it out.
Yeah, I just got it. Thank you.
Okay.
There was a consent agenda.
We should teach Paul how to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I did not see it. Did you
just
send it
got it.
No,
out?
she
Just
just
came.
sent it. She just sent it.
Just
There was
came
some
in.
miscommunication
Okay.
about who was doing it.
Okay, so Paul, in the future, we got to get him out earlier.
Okay.
Oh, he didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is news.
Okay.
to me.
Well, I think what we're going to have you do then, Paul, is read down through them. And if any of the board members feel that we can address them without further diligence, reading, knowledge, or whatever, we'll just have to take them off the agenda and handle them separately.
Okay.
But yeah, we can talk about that next time I'm in the office, but you know, my feeling is that like Monday noon at the latest, get something out to us so that we have a chance, especially, you know, like Tim works some pretty long days. So if you don't give him at least 24, if not 36 hours, he has no chance whatsoever.
Mhm.
And, you know, we want folks to know what's going on when they
The good
approve.
news is, looking at this, I think it's entirely stuff we've already seen.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that's just to let the public know.
Except maybe the open purchase order report.
Yeah,
I haven't,
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that, but everything else you've seen.
yeah. Okay, well, it's 6 o'clock. And I think I can do this. Oh, there's Tim. So
I
is,
just had to get out and print off my consent agenda so I can see it, so.
oh, geez. Wow, one step ahead of me, buddy. So as chair of the Northwood Board of Selectmen, as chair of the Select Board of Northwood, due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, executive order 2020-04, we are authorized to meet electronically. There's no physical location, but I am confirming that we can provide access. It'll be primarily through YouTube. This has been noticed on the website. If there are issues with seeing that transmission, you should dial 603-340-0030. That number is posted also. And if we, as the select board members, have trouble with the meeting venue, the meeting will be adjourned. If we can't actually hold a vote, doesn't matter. If we have problems, the meeting's adjourned. We're also going to take all votes during this meeting by roll call vote. So I'd like to start with a roll call for attendance. Pam,
Present.
Matt,
Present.
Beth,
Present.
Tim,
Present.
and Hal. Thank you. I'd like everybody to rise and face the nearest flag and pledge the flag, please.
Cam, I can't see your flag. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Matt, do we have anything for Citizens Forum?
Not that I received.
John?
John may. John's got an eye on that inbox.
Somebody took John.
Yeah,
I was in another room.
Did you by any chance see anything for Citizens Forum?
No, I didn't see anything, but
Okay, well then, don't expect to have something every week, so we'll move right on. That means we're moving to regular business. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from July 7th.
So moved.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second by Tim. Discussion. I thought it looked pretty good. Thank you, Susan. Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Pam?
4.
What?
I'm for it. It's yes.
Oh, yeah, yay or nay?
Yay or nay.
I respond to that better.
Yes.
Matt, are you going to say yay, nay, or 4?
I'll say yay.
Okay. Beth, you got a variety of choices here.
Yes.
And Tim?
Yes.
And Hal is yes. Okay, thank you.
Oh, no, this isn't the one.
Moving on to the next one, which is July 14th. I do have some edits, so maybe we'll discuss those first before we make a motion so that we can make it as amended. Does anybody else, though, have edits?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
I think it's important to note on page 3 under the recycling proposal section that the way we went was not the advice of the TSAC committee. I'm okay with the choice we make. I just think it should be noted in the minutes that that was not the advice of the committee.
Okay, do you want to add that as a sentence at the end?
I would like, yeah, just something tacked on the end.
Yeah.
I'll figure out a way to get it in.
Okay, yes, just a please note or something like that. Okay, very good, Matt. I do have a typo on page, well, Matt, was there something else? you
No,
said?
that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so just a typo, Susan, on page 4, line 35, just needs a quote at the end of it.
Oh,
And then moving on to the top of page 5, I thought what we discussed in line 9 was that we were combining the highway and facilities since it was primarily the same people. Does anybody else recollect that?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's just say highway/facilities or something like that, please, Susan. And then on page 7, line 12, the last part of the line, they get
yes.
flex time.
Good eye.
Anybody else have any other edits? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Move to approve the minutes as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Beth, thank you. Roll call vote. Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Pam.
Yay.
Yeah, woohoo! And Hal, yes. Okay, okay.
Hal, you gonna vote?
I think I did. Did I vote? I said yes.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for that. We'll now move on to something that, excuse me, to the consent agenda, please. So it was just sent out. Paul, I'm going to ask you to read off the items. And I just want to note for the public that in many cases, these are actually documents that we've seen through the last 2 weeks. They get sent out to us to be reviewed and in often cases signed once we all agree that it's proper to sign it. And so a lot of the consent agenda is more of a formality, but it's also a means for us to let the town know what we are approving and that we aren't missing anything. So Paul, if you would please read off the consent agenda. Oh, actually, I think we should actually mention formally and welcome formally Paul Allard to Northwood. He's come on board as our deputy. What's the official title? Deputy Finance / Admin?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's around
Yes.
that line. Yeah.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, maybe before the start of the meeting, he looked like he was pretty calm and collected today. So I have high hopes for. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Paul, if you're comfortable, would you mind please reading off the consent agenda items? And as is always in the past, for this meeting too, if any board member feels that we need to separately address one of these items, then when he's done reading them, please speak up and we'll do so. So go ahead, Paul.
Well, in regards to that, I'm not entirely sure if I was handed the right paperwork for that. John, do you
It
know?
was an email. It was an email that just came. So if you didn't open your email, you don't
Oh.
have it. And
Paul
I'll-
is not on that email.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Okay. So my fault. I thought Paul, Susan said something about this is Paul's first one or something like that. So I sort of assumed he sent it.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, why don't you read it? So watch and learn then, Paul.
Okay, I'll try for next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the consent agenda for July 28th. Payroll manifest dated July 29th, 2020. Batch 15006 for $101,202.55. AP manifest dated July 20th, 2020. Batch 15002 for $877,944.44. Batch 15003 for $249.99. That's COVID expenditures. Accounts payable manifest dated July 28th, 2020. Batch 15005 for $821.60. Requisition for $40,002.33 for Health Trust. And then the open purchase order reports 2019 and 2020. And that's all I got.
And if I could just continue, explaining the $870,000 batch had an $800,000 school payment in it. The $40,000 for health insurance was 2 months of insurance. The information that was sent out on the assessing issues, I will read you. Are you interested in the map and lot numbers and everything, or just their intent to cut yield tax level and gravel tax levies? If you want more information, I can give you that, but that's basically what they are.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was going to ask for somebody to say something about the school payment because the 800,000 is a good chunk of our budget. So
and we have a request now for 2 million. So
yeah, well, they have a big budget, so they need to take some big chunks. So first off, John answered some things. Tim, do you have a question regarding any of the items on the consent agenda?
The open purchase for 2019, why ain't they closed out by now?
Well, for example,
Still trying to
one of
get
them
things
is our
started.
energy project, which, we're in the queue for that. I don't remember what some of the other ones are, but they're definitely stuff that we haven't done yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, maybe, John, to that point, it might be worthwhile for us to make a call to the vendor that's actually doing the energy savings program and see if we can get some sense as to where we are in the queue. It estimates us to save about $6,000 or $8,000 in electric. So the sooner we can get it, the sooner we start saving.
okay, and who is that with?
I knew you were going to ask. I can't remember.
I will find out. I'll find out.
Well, the name's on the PO, so we should be able to get a contact for them. But
Yep.
they had told us we just have to get in line and wait till it's our turn. So no surprise on that one. The other ones, Tim, I don't recollect, but if you want to have some specific questions, we can bring them up either this time or next, just say, okay. Okay, so any further questions on the consent agenda? And Matt?
So seeing as I don't remember having seen the open purchase order report, at least, I'm wondering if it makes sense to pull that off the consent agenda for today and maybe release that at a later date.
I see John nodding, but I'm of a different opinion, so we can discuss it.
I haven't seen it either, but I'll find out where it is and get it out to
Oh,
you.
you're saying we haven't sent it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it has. I have not seen where it, at least I cannot remember having seen that it was sent.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood, Matt. Okay, yes, if that's the case, pull it off the agenda.
Yes.
I might be confusing it with the revenue report, which I do remember seeing.
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible that we should put the revenue report on the consent agenda?
No action is necessary. It's just informational at this point.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are informational. Okay, so do we want to amend the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to amend the consent agenda to take off the report, or do we want to just task John with publishing the report?
Motion to exclude the open purchase order report from the consent agenda.
And Tim seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
and Matt.
Yes.
Hal is also yes. Okay, so those reports are off the consent agenda. Let's make sure we get them out the following meeting then.
Should we need a motion to pass the consent agenda since my wording was just to exclude?
Yes, that's the next step.
Thank you.
So any further discussion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Oh, we already moved it,
Okay.
I thought. So now
Okay, yep.
we're having discussion. We amended it, so now we're back to, does anybody have any further discussion, and then we'll vote on it. Or at least that's the way I'm recollecting it.
Yep.
So is there any further discussion? Okay, now hearing none. Tim,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and Hal is yes. Okay, thank you. And I think that's a good example of the way the process is supposed to work. So appreciate everybody speaking up. I'm going to add something with the board, if the board allows, and that is that John has some items that he needs to tell us about. And if the board objects, then we'll have to add them at another meeting or handle them differently. But John, do you want to go over what you'd like to cover so that they can hear? And actually, maybe you can just cover them while you're talking. So first question to the board, does anybody object to John speaking at this point? Okay. John, the floor is yours then.
When we were doing payroll, we discovered that there was an error in the minutes that were approved for June 23rd. In the discussion, it was quite clear that the transfer station attendant was grade 2, step 11. However, in the motion, it's recorded as grade 11, step 2. The dollar amount is correct for grade 2, step 11. So I just want the board to be aware of it. So we are paying off from the discussion of grade 2, step 11.
Okay.
Second thing, I would like the board to take a vote to request of the Board of Trustees $12,000 from the Facilities Committee expendable trust. The town will be paying $12,000 to Manchester Paving, and we need to make a request to the trustees to reimburse the town for that expenditure because it's coming from the trust fund, but the board makes the payment. out of AP and then gets reimbursed from the trustees, but I would like a motion to request that money from the trustees.
Want to do that right now, John?
Yes,
Do I have a motion to that effect?
What was the total again? I'm sorry.
12,000.
12,000.
Steven. Sorry, Beth, I jumped on you.
That's okay. So moved.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Discussion. Tim?
It was, somebody mentioned that I have everything that Manchester Paving did, but there's no backing up the pavement with gravel alone. And I looked down through his contract and it never said that. So he did everything he was supposed to do. So at some point, the trustees will have to get somebody in there to back up with, crushed gravel or loam, wherever they are. So somebody
Yeah.
asked me that, and I wanted to make sure that he was covered. So
Okay, I think that's a good point, Tim. I know when they did my drive, we had to do the same thing, because it's.
just like an R&D's contract, they're
Yeah,
coming back to shoulder gravel, but it was
Yeah.
never put in their contract. So
well,
he did everything that he did. So
yeah, so it's okay to pay them, and then we
Yeah.
need to talk to the trustees about finishing off the project, so to speak.
Yep.
Okay, John or Chris, how
Chris,
do you want
I
to
was
handle
gonna ask
that?
Chris to speak to that.
Actually, for the amount of material that's there, I was actually going to take a day and do that myself. So
they just make sure you get reimbursed for it. It's not going to come out of your pocket. It's going to come out of the library pocket.
it would be just the material. So
Yeah.
that I have no problem with.
No,
Okay,
good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
no, we didn't vote yet.
Oh, yes.
If you want us to vote, you got to give us a chance, John.
Yes.
I know you're trying to move me along, but any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Pam,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim?
Yep.
And Hal is yes. Okay, go ahead, John.
Third item is that the candidate for finance director opted not to accept the position after careful consideration and her research. So that position has not been filled, and we will have to make decisions going forward as to what to do. But that's not for discussion right now. That's just a point of fact for the public to know. I also have here an application for an abatement for the property, and it came July 22nd. The deadline is March 1st. So unless the board objects, I'm simply going to send it out for you to sign to reject because it's far from being timely.
Yeah.
Yep.
My feeling is we need to be consistent and treat people equally. And so if there's no other considerations related to it, John, was there any other related information associated with it?
You'll see it when I send it out that there was an issue related to back taxes and who owed the back taxes with somebody else, but that's not our problem. That should have been solved in the purchase and sales and the realtor.
Right.
Elsewhere. It's not our issue. So I think that somebody else has to fix that and not the town absorb that loss.
Right. Okay. Okay. Tim, did you have a question on that? Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
The last item I had not heard what was going to happen regarding the transfer station committee and the highway committee. Are they scheduling meetings, not scheduling meetings, or what is the status on those two?
Okay. I do have some additional information on that from just this afternoon when I talked to Vina. Because I asked her point blank, did you resign or not? And she said, yes, the letter's in your mailbox. I mailed it to you. And that's why I had the comment earlier at the meeting, John, or before the start of the meeting. Maybe we better make it a point to check each of the select board's mail because possibly it's in there and not being checked. And as I said, you can probably handle most of these things anyway. So, my understanding is that we no longer have a TSAC committee per se. but the folks are still interested and willing to work on the swap shop and the garden. So we're going to need to figure out how we want to handle that. I don't know that we necessarily have to have a firm answer on that for right now, but I know that people are asking about when we can open up the swap shop. So maybe we need to, I don't know, what's the board's pleasure in terms of that? Any suggestions in terms of how to handle that? Or Chris?
So I mean, after considerable, thought on that, I mean, as far as the swap shop goes, I mean, I don't feel it's going to be a good idea to open it right now, where it's such a small space and things like that. I mean, if you guys wanted to open it up to maybe just 2 people and an attendant at a time, we could probably do that. But I mean, if we're seeing an influx and rise in COVID, that I don't feel it's going to be it's a safety issue.
I don't think you could have 2 people and the attendant in there.
No, I mean, it's so tight in there. There's no place to even social distance. I mean, the social distance is a state law, so.
I'll tell you what, I feel a little bit uncomfortable being like the conduit for the information and stuff. Vina had some thoughts or suggestions. Would Chris, you be willing to talk to her, or you and Tim talk to her?
I mean, isn't that fall under the TSAC committee?
Well, I think this is just, again, for the interest in what we do with the swap shop.
Yeah.
Like you said, you mentioned the word attendant. Maybe some of the parameters have to be that it's all volunteer help and therefore the hours are limited or something. But would you be at least willing to explore the options with her, or should we just hold off completely?
She would definitely have an idea on, possibly what we could do and come up with a solution. I mean, it was a lot easier with the fee-based items because, I mean, there's social distancing there and things like that, not being in a 10 by 12 enclosed building.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
if the doors open and the windows open, just 1 person at a time.
The attendant quote volunteer has to stand outside all the time. Maybe
you have the window and the door, you're going to get a cross breeze at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We shouldn't work it out here. We should let Chris and Vina and Tim, if you want to be involved, please, coordinate with Chris, and then we can get that resolved. Okay.
I have a mile to go there, so it needs to open soon.
Yeah. Okay, and then I guess as far as the highway and facilities, that was one of the edits I had on the minutes. And I guess what I'm going to propose is that, Tim, between you and Beth, we call up the folks that are that are already appointed, see if we can, if they're willing to meet. And John, would it be appropriate for you to set up the meeting via Zoom, or somebody at town hall to set up the meeting? But let's pick a time
let's get the bodies first. I get the town report here, and the people are still, haven't terms expired, and I got some phone numbers written down. I just had a rough weekend here at the house, so I didn't get anybody to call, but I'm trying to get some, obviously Mr. Strobel's on it.
Yeah.
We still got Joe McCaffrey on it. Bob Knowlton is still up from Mountain Road. So I'm gonna let me get some phone numbers and get some information before we set up the first meeting.
Yeah, okay, that perfect sense, makes perfect sense. Yeah, but if we could just move that along, because even a little bit of input for the budgeting process would be helpful for both the facilities and the highway. And then I guess, once you got the phone numbers and stuff, if people are giving you trouble, you can ask Beth to charm them a little bit and, see how that moves things along too. So, okay. John, I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. Because I think those are a couple important components for us. Anything else?
No, that's all I had.
Okay, well, thank you, and thank you for the board's indulgence to add those items. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to old business. The first up is the Bow Lake Road Bridge. Chris, you want to give us some status on that, please?
Yeah. So far, I mean, everything is still on track. We did have the on-site meeting the other day. John was in attendance to it. Tim was there. So I
Good.
mean, everything's looking good as far as being on point. PSNH is going to be setting poles pretty soon, so they can move wires back. Aside from that, it's basically waiting for structures and for the construction to actually begin. So we got a little bit of pre-gaming we have to do before they start, as far as the highway department goes, but that's minimal, and I can take care of that in a day or two.
Perfect. So did we actually get the culvert, or whatever you call it, ordered now, or is that still to be ordered?
Nope, that was already ordered. Mitchie Corporation is the one that's actually designing and engineering it, and they said it shouldn't be an issue as far as that goes as well.
Good. That was the concern, I think, earlier on.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else you want to add on that, Chris?
Nope. I mean, that's about as much all as I have on it right now. So.
Okay. Well, appreciate you staying on top of that. It's an important project for the town. Okay, how are we doing on the trees and the paving? I noticed there was some paving on Harvey Lake Road.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, things got, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, unfortunately, however you want it. It was pushed forward a day. It was supposed to originally start on Tuesday, and then they were supposed to come in next week. Sorry.
You're getting a little extra help there, I see.
Yeah, I get some help. Yeah, there's like 30 turkeys out back. But as far as the paving and stuff, it got pushed forward a little bit. R&D had a job they were supposed to be doing today, excess of like 3,500 tons, and so they weren't able to actually do it today because of the threat of thunderstorms.
Oh.
So they asked if they could come in and basically bang out Harvey Lake Road, and I said that wasn't an issue. I would have liked a little bit more advanced heads up, but I mean, it is what it is.
And does anybody have questions? Any of the other board members have questions? Tim?
I came home tonight and they got Tasker Hill Road, and from Tasker Hill Road up towards my house, towards the Gavian Estates, ground. The trees are still standing, so please tell me you got good news on the trees.
I wish I could say that. I have horrible news on that. Out of 9 companies I've contacted, I've had bids come in from anywhere from 38,000 to close to 50,000. So,
well,
and
I mean, good.
As far as availability on the tree companies, every tree company I've talked to, even if they could do it and do, the minimal amount of trees for the amount of money that we have, they're still looking at the end of August, September. So unfortunately, it's looking like the trees are going to come down after the road's paved.
No. Then we're going to leave it gravel for a while. The crane's going to rip up that hot top and it's going to go to heck.
When was the paving supposed to happen, Chris?
They're coming in Monday, Tuesday next week to do it.
No. You're throwing money right out the window.
I mean, I'm not gonna. Unfortunately,
let me ask a question. If you wait until winter when the road is frozen, would it be as bad putting a crane on it? I mean, if you put it on too soon, obviously there's a problem.
Right.
Tim,
I mean,
how would
we
it be
definitely
if you
can't put it
waited
on
until winter to take them down?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely can't put it on, a week or two after they get the road done. That's for sure. But I mean, as far as the crane goes, it's been a mess. Put it that way. So.
Well, how does the board want to handle this?
So could we wait till December? How would it affect the road? We wait till December to take down the trees?
I mean, as far as come winter time, it wouldn't be an issue. I mean, the trees aren't going to grow, overnight enough to ruin the road or anything like that.
Right. I'm talking about the equipment on the new pavement.
by December, we should definitely be a lot better because I mean, everything's gonna be cooled off and by then, so.
And the other question is, aren't we planning to put a top coat on next year? So if there was some damage to the road, the top coat would cover it over?
We haven't top coated any roads in 30 years.
Yeah,
so-
I'm not aware of any top coat being on the
No,
books.
we talked about that one meeting about doing next year, doing some top coats. That was a couple meetings ago. I think we talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
So, I mean,
So how does the board want to handle this? Tim, you're obviously uncomfortable with the trees not being down already. Do we have any other options, Chris? Are they willing?
We gave him 22,000 to get the trees cut. I thought Urban Tree gave us a price for like 25,000. We knocked down on a couple of trees. What happened to Urban?
they're at 38, I believe it was, for the total. And then it was minus, I think, 3,500 on Old Turnpike Road for the 3 that they were going to do there. So 38 minus 35, you know, so you're still up in the close to the $30,000 range.
So but can they take any of the trees down?
That's what we were hoping. We were gonna take the closest ones to the road now, but I mean, every tree company I've talked to, they're a month, 2 months, 2 months out. So I've called companies as far as northern Maine, and it's not good. Everybody's booked right now.
Do we have any options to push the paving out?
Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, Matt, did you want to speak?
Yeah, just a reminder that paving is being done with funds that were appropriated through a warrant. So it's not like we can just choose not to do it.
The only other issue we have is from the
Leave
date
it gravel for a couple months, get the trees done, and then come back and pave it.
Unfortunately,
in our paving done by a certain date for it to stick.
It's a winter binder.
The biggest issue we have is once the contract's signed, it's 90 days.
Right.
They have 90 days to do completion.
Right.
So
Chris
we're already a month and a half, almost 2 months into the project. So.
Pam, did you want to say something?
No, the contract's signed, so you just can't put it off.
Yeah, I guess when I talked about delaying it, I wasn't talking about delaying it for a whole year, but doing it like the very end of the paving season. So like October 1st, or whatever day we set, maybe it was the 15th of October.
The only issue we have with that, though, then we fall into it not being laid down soon enough before it starts getting frost underneath it. So,
right.
Then you're gonna have more.
Even in late September, early October.
Yeah, you're figuring November, December, we're starting to plow.
And this company's set to go Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, they're set.
You can't break faith like that. So
How many trees are actually like the horrible ones?
There was 16 total between Tasker Hill and Ridge.
There was no smaller companies that could do it?
So the only issue with the smaller companies is the access to a crane. And I did contact a few other companies aside from larger tree companies that can do it. And we had one come in and said, well, I can bring a 70-foot bucket in and see what we can do. And I'm like, I'm not going to do a daily rate and see what we can do. Because if you only do one tree a day at so many dollars, you're just wasting money.
Right.
So unfortunately, with the bigger companies, they have the access to the bigger equipment and they can do a lot more production.
So if we did the paving next week or this week, whatever you said, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Next May, Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. And then if the pavement sat there for like what, 90 days or so,
you're going to want at least a good 2 or 3 months.
Right. So if we took down trees, November, December.
Mm-hmm.
Before a big ice storm, preferably.
Yeah. Don't say that.
I know.
Is that your recommendation right now, Chris?
Unfortunately, that's what I was going to say, is possibly pushing back the trees until, closer to wintertime when tree companies are starting to gear down, and see if it would be one last ditch effort. They can come in and start doing some trees for us.
So what's the board's pleasure on this?
I mean, I hate to do this process kind of backwards, but we signed a contract.
We're in.
I mean, we don't really have a choice, do we?
Throwing money right out the window. As I'm a taxpayer now talking. This is ridiculous. We should have lined up the tree company before the pavement guys even stepped foot in Northwood. So that's poor planning on our part. So shame on us.
Well,
Yeah.
let me ask you, Tim, for next year, what roads are you planning to do next year? And are there trees on those roads that need to come out? Because we should take them out this year before we get to the spring project. You know what I'm saying?
We don't have enough money to do the trees now. So, I mean, and I don't know. I haven't looked at the road project.
We
yet.
don't
I
have a
plan.
we don't have a plan.
We don't have a plan.
That's why we were pushing on the highway committee meeting.
I do have a plan in the works for the next 5 years anyways. So, I mean, Tim, if you would like to sit down with me at some point, we can go over it.
Talk to Bob Strebel too, please. I mean, he knows a lot about this.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, or just,
the highway committee. I mean,
yeah, really. Yeah. Okay, so how do we want to direct Chris on this?
We don't even have a tree company lined up. So I don't know.
so Chris, do you think you can get a tree company lined up? Can we get one in place for November, December?
That's what I'm hoping. I have 2 more phone calls being made tomorrow, and one guy's supposed to meet me on Tuesday. No, excuse me, Thursday. What the heck am I saying? Today's Tuesday. On Thursday, for another company to come out, and he said his availability, he could probably do some shuffling and hopefully get some stuff done. He said it won't be before we pave, but now once my asphalt's laid down, I'm not going to put a 100-ton crane on the road and start tearing my asphalt apart. So that was unfortunately going to be my recommendation, to push it off until November, December area. So
How does the board feel about that? Can we come up with any alternatives, or do we want to hold? I guess we can't hold off on the paving. We signed the contract, right?
Yep.
I guess.
I think you're right, Tim. We need to plan a little further in advance on these things.
Well, I mean, the paving was planned over a year in advance. The trees were just brought up in the last.
But we didn't put the trees into the plan when we
No.
budgeted last fall. So that's that's our fault.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. Yeah. On the flip side, I'm glad it came up, because I think it is an issue. I guess what I'm hearing is we don't really have much choice. We're going to have to do the paving and then have the trees removed as best we
Did
can.
anybody talk to the paver? Maybe tomorrow we can get a hold of him.
I talked to Jeff, the project manager, and the Brett, which is the owner's son, which runs the paving crew, and they juggled us around to fit us in the time slot for the 90 days because they're subject to fines under the contract if they don't do the paving within 90 days. So.
Okay.
They're putting down 2.5 inches of winter binder.
Yep.
So our department head is recommending we do the paving now and then take down the trees November, December.
If possible.
That's unfortunate. That's my recommendation as of right now.
Well, I think once you start the paving, that pretty much cements it in, so to speak.
Paves it.
Bump.
Okay. Do we need a motion to direct him to do this, or
I don't see
I
how,
don't think so.
because it's
Say
a
that again.
recommendation.
Well, we approved the tree removal.
Right. But we can't make a motion to have it done by this point in time when we don't know if he can get that in that point in time. We don't know what the weather is.
Well, hopefully the trees come down this year because it will affect next year's budget.
We can
Yeah.
recommend that Chris with due diligence get it done in November, December. I don't see how it could be a motion.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he understands the need for it.
Yeah, no, I
Absolutely.
definitely do.
He's well aware of the need.
Okay. I guess final point on this. I got a 16-inch chainsaw and a 2-ton come along. Can I help you on this, or is this out of my league?
I think it's out of all of our leagues. I even told a few of the tree companies that if they wanted to do it, I would take off time and I would fly in the crane to do it. I have all my climbing gear still and I have no problem doing it, but it's not the issue with the climber. It's the issue of lining up a crane.
Okay.
So can you rent a crane? I mean, are there smaller companies if the town rented the crane? I don't know. You
Yeah,
have
you can
rent-a-centers.
rent cranes. You can
Liability.
definitely rent cranes, but they're expensive.
Oh.
Liability is huge.
You need to be a certified crane operator. Nobody here is, so we're gonna scratch that right off the bat.
Yeah, no. We can rent a crane with an operator, but the only problem is once we get the trees down, what are we gonna do with them? I mean, we don't have any chippers. We don't have any.
Some of those
chip-
trees, if we all hold hands, some of us, we still couldn't fit around and touch each other's hands. They're
okay.
that big, so no.
Okay. We need real.
We're not clearing off your fence, Pastor Cal. We're cutting
Okay.
bull pine that ain't worth nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I guess
the only thing I can say is, I mean, I'm gonna do my best to have everything lined up and see what we can do.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. So it sounds like we understand what's going on. And I think, for all of us, we need to figure out how we can work to avoid this in the future, because it would be really better to do it in the opposite order, but we understand where you're at, Chris.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions or want any other info from Chris?
Nope.
Okay, if not,
So
then,
Tim had his hand up.
oops, I'm sorry.
Like it doesn't matter. It's too late now. They keep saying, that culvert.
Tim, you're on mute.
Oh, is that culvert by Sugar Mama and Matt Sweet's going to get replaced before Monday?
Yep, that's getting done after they grind tomorrow.
And
So I already have the culvert. I went down and picked it up last week in preparation for that, because rather than going down and saw cutting the road, I was going to have them grind it. And they said they're going to leave the grader there for us, so they do their fine grading before they pave. So they're going to grade over. If we make a little hump in the road, they're going to fine grade it anyways. So.
And we're not doing anything with the old concrete culvert around the corner.
Nope, that's the box one. Nope.
You keep saying box culvert. There's two 18-inch round culverts in there, so it's not a box culvert. So I want to make sure we're on the same page. In between
You're
Sugar
talking about
Mamas and Ricky Wolf's. They
Right.
dug it up.
Yep, that's a concrete one.
There's two 18-inch concrete ones there.
Mm-hmm.
That Evans Brothers was going to put that 5-foot in. They hit ledge and they scabbed it back together, and we're going to just close our eyes for another 30 years.
Well, the good thing about it is, I mean, the section of culverts that are there are actually still in good shape. So it's not like they're deteriorating like the ones on Harvey Lake Road where, I mean, you can basically almost crawl through the whole things and see that they're in actually good shape. So there's no cracking or anything like that or deterioration from road salt.
Okay. Anything else for Chris? Okay. Okay, so thanks for meeting with us, Chris, and good luck on the paving. Please stay on top of it, and let's see if we can get some tree companies in later in the year. So I'll keep this on the agenda for updates on a regular basis. Okay. Then I'm going to move on to the fire department. Mark, oops.
There he is.
He just stepped away. So Mark, you're up, buddy. You want to tell us about your 2 items, please?
All right. So I may have a little more than 2 items, but the first one is we've been awarded a assistance to firefighter grant.
Can you come closer to your mic? I'm having trouble hearing.
Yeah. So we've been awarded a assistance to firefighter grant for COVID-19 in the amount of well, the total cost of the project is $9,387, with the federal share being $8,940, and our share being $447. And it's to buy personal protective equipment, including 15 breathing apparatus adapters, 50 PAPR filters, 300 N95 masks, head covers, 12 hand sanitizer refills, shoe covers, 10 cases of gloves, medical gloves, 300 face shields, 30 goggles, 300 isolation gowns, 110 Tyvek suits, 25 Envo masks, 200 Envo filters, and 300 surgical masks. And I'd like to ask the board to accept the grant.
You need a vote for us to accept the grant?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Who's the grant from?
Say that again, please, Pam.
Who is the grant from?
It's from the from FEMA, the Assistant Firefighter Grant Program. They did a special appropriation for COVID-19.
John, did you want to say something?
The wording should say accept and expend. You need both phrases in the motion.
Tell you what, John, do you want to recommend a motion, please?
Move that the town accept $8,940 from FEMA for COVID-19 related expenditures and authorize the expenditure of the same.
Do I have a motion to that effect?
We would need to amend that to authorize the expenditure of $9,387 to include our 447 share.
Correct. And
Yeah, that's fine.
specifically say grant.
Yeah, I think
FEMA grant.
our motion is to accept the grant money, not accept and expend the grant money. So I'm not sure, separately we can spend our own money, but I think it's to accept and expend the grant money. So my feeling is it would be better just to leave it at the grant amount, because the grant isn't going to give us $9,000, it's 8,000 something.
And the 447 is well within the chief's
purview. Yeah. So I guess I'll go back to the original proposal from John, if you're comfortable with that, Matt.
Yep, I am. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on that motion? Okay, so does
Just to
Pam,
have
you want?
clarity in the wording on that, John, because FEMA and COVID grants come in under different names. Can we somehow amend it to be the, I believe the chief said assist firefighter grant, FEMA COVID-19 assist firefighter grant.
That's a good idea. Add those words, yes.
Yeah, if you don't specify that this particular grant is what this is for,
That's
and just
fine.
linking it under COVID-19, that could be confusing.
Yes.
So Pam, maybe would you be willing to read off the motion or make the motion?
Here, I'll give it a try.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to accept and expend FEMA COVID-19 assist firefighter grant in the amount of $8,940 for the purchase of PPE.
Second.
Second. Okay. Further discussion. Pam, no, you're Beth.
Beth.
Yeah. Sorry.
Chief, where are you getting the money, like out of a certain line, the $447? We have like a grant matching line somewhere, or?
We don't. It would have to come out of our line for EMS equipment.
Okay.
Other discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote to accept the grant money.
Do you have a
Matt?
second? Do you have a second on my motion?
Yeah, Matt did.
Good, thank you, Matt.
I vote yes.
Thank you, Matt. Beth?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
And Hal is yes. Okay. Anything else related to that, Mark?
No, I do have, I have another grant that I don't think the board ever accepted. It's the VFA forestry grant.
Yeah, Mark, hold the mic close to you. There, perfect.
He's enjoying fresh air and we're not. That's why.
Yeah, it's okay.
I have a grant that I don't think the board ever accepted, and I wanted to make sure we did this right. It's a forestry grant. It's called the VFA grant, and it's a state matching grant for forestry firefighting equipment. And it's a 50-50 match. So they'll give us, we have to spend $2,000 and they'll give us $2,000. So it's like we're getting all the equipment for half price. And that grant would buy 24 fire resistant forestry shirts and various hose adapters, Ys, fittings, and nozzles.
Does anybody have questions for the chief on that?
How much was it? 200, you said?
2,000.
2,000? And we have $2,000 in the budget to match that?
We do, yes. We'd come out of various lines because shirts would come out of a different line than the adapters and fittings. So spread out, yes, we have the money.
Okay.
And
Should we actually like be budgeting then when we do our budget next year, like a line for grant matching, since that way we're not always like robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing?
John, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Also, if you're fairly sure you're going to get it, you should budget precisely for a grant. If you're not sure, it's more of a contingency type situation. But yes, having matching money for grant is something I've frequently seen done in budgets.
Thank you.
I think that's a good point. My question related to this is, are the things that we would buy related to this grant things that would be normally in our budget anyway?
Yes, I believe so. We're very short on forestry shirts. Obviously, adapters and Ys and fittings are always very important. And I think we may not have been able to buy it all this year, but with the grant, it makes everything half price, so it makes it affordable.
Okay. Okay. Is everybody clear then on the parameters? Or Tim, do you have a question?
You can't get the shirts through a Bear Brook any better price, Chief? Through the
They tip, well, it's
no, I mean
the state usually does offer forestry shirts for sale, but because of COVID-19, they're not doing that this year.
Okay,
so
no.
We did shop around and tried to get the best value on the shirts.
Okay. Further questions for Mark on this particular?
So the fittings and stuff will all be for the new forestry rig you guys just started or completed work or working on this?
Most of them will be for the new truck. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Other questions?
Chief, was it BFA?
V is in Victor.
V,
B.
which stands for what, please?
I believe it's volunteer fire, and I'm not sure what the A is, to be honest with you.
Administration, something.
Association.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
Volunteer fire ace.
There you go. Okay, well, Pam, since you did so well on the last one, do you want to make a motion on this one?
I will give it a shot, but
Hey.
because it is matching funds, John may need to correct the wording. I would like to make a motion to accept a VFA forestry grant for state matching funds of $2,000 to cover a expenditure of an additional town $2,000 for the purchase of 24 fire resistant forestry shirts, and hose adapters and fittings.
Yeah,
Susan,
the
you
only
got that?
suggestion is at the very beginning, Pam, when you
Yep.
say to accept, put the word accept and expend. And I think
Accept
it'll
and
be fine.
expend. So I correct myself to accept and expend. So Susan, do you have that? Or it's on the recording. She'll get it.
It's
Yeah,
recorded.
I thought I read her lips to say yes.
She's used to me.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Matt. Discussion. Hearing none, we're voting on a $2,000 grant acceptance. Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and Hal is yes. Okay, thank you, Chief. What else?
Just recently, the state ambulance inspector has come out and started doing inspections. You may recall that we licensed ambulance 1 at the paramedic level, but that was a temporary license because the ambulance inspectors could not come out. They came out and inspected ambulance 1 and granted us a permanent license. So ambulance 1 is now officially licensed at the paramedic level. We're in the process of equipping and licensing ambulance 2, so that if we have a second call, that will also be able to accommodate a paramedic. So I want to update the board on that.
So, Mark, I think you know what I'm going to ask, but I'll just ask. How are we doing on revenues? Ambulance.
Glad you asked that. Let me. I did an analysis and compared 2019 to 2020. 2019 to date, we had done 82 transports, resulting in $37,597 in revenue. Year to date, we've done 95 transports, and it's a little over $10,000 more, $47,066 in revenue. Unfortunately, the months of February and March were extremely slow. Everyone was afraid to call the ambulance because they were afraid to go to the hospital. So revenues were pretty light then. During the first 4 months of the year, we averaged 15 transports a month. And during the last 3 months, we've averaged 22 transports. So things are really picking up again for us. I did notice the collection rate is down a little bit this year, and that's an issue with the billing. So I suspect there's more money out there yet to come for ambulance billing. I think we'll probably do well over $100,000 in revenue this year based on what I'm seeing.
Okay, I don't recollect exactly what we said we needed to cover the payments, but I thought it was in the $70,000 or $80,000 a year range. So it sounds like we're in pretty good shape.
I think we're in good shape, yes. And we're in the process of getting a third paramedic on board, and paramedics tend to make a lot more money than basic EMTs or intermediates because they can do more medical procedures. And that gets us up into the ALS 2 category, which is a lot more money.
Yeah, you had mentioned that earlier. Other questions for Mark?
So I know.
Go ahead, Beth.
So how is the coverage at the station now? Are we getting 7 days a week coverage?
We're getting a lot closer. I won't say we're 7 days a week, but we're covering our own calls. The police department even mentioned that it's good to see that the ambulance is getting out with 2 people, and so we're not 100% there, but we're getting very close.
Okay, good. Let's keep pushing on that if you would, please, Chief.
Absolutely.
Other questions for Mark? Okay, hearing none, then I guess, Mark, thank you for coming in. I appreciate everything you're doing. Keep the revenues coming in, buddy.
So I did do a budget analysis year to date. I don't know if you wanted to hear that or not.
Let's hold off and we'll bring you in, or we'll do something specific with the BudFin committee on that.
But we appreciate you doing that.
Yes. Keep an eye on it.
I absolutely will. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mark,
Thank
before
you,
you go,
Yes,
our next BudFin committee meeting is next Tuesday. So if you could get it to us or maybe come on over on Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Why
It's
don't you,
posted.
is
that
that
like
a Zoom
10?
meeting or a live action meeting?
Live.
we'll work something out with him, but
Yeah, 'cause I can be there either way. So,
okay, we'll work something out, but it's a good idea, John.
all righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, I'm making a note of that. John, one way or the other, we'll figure out how to include him, get his input. Okay. I'm moving on to the town administrator search, the status. I think I forwarded an email sometime today, maybe not enough time for everybody to see it. Alan is pretty much ready to send out the, I forget what you call it.
Advertisement.
Advertisement. Thank you, John. He talked with both Matt and myself, and he said he was waiting for the other 3 select board members to contact him. And I said, well, you can just reach out to them. I'm copying them on this. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but
What did he
please.
want our input for?
Why is he interviewing us? Yeah, I thought we were going to leave it up to you to get all the parameters done.
Yes,
That's
but
how I left it. That's why I didn't
Yeah.
contact him because
okay. No, he actually asked to speak to, I'm the contact point. So like today, I asked him for a status and things like that. But like he asked me 2 or 3 questions in terms of what do I think are for example, the most important parameters that a person would have, what kind of skill sets and different things. And he felt comfortable with what I had told him, Matt had told him, and obviously John's been working the position, so John's filled him in on some stuff.
I got his email, but I never got the attachment of that. He said he's going to send you an attachment, but it never came in my email.
The attachment.
About I have attached a draft advertisement, but I never got that.
Oh, then.
I'll resend that, Tim.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get the attachment.
Okay.
You did or didn't?
Didn't.
Yeah, me too.
Find it and send it to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, send it out, please. And I don't think it's, Tim, I think you're right. You don't absolutely have to talk to him, but if you would like to provide some input in terms of some of the things that you think are important, please do so. The advertisement's very generic, and it'll be through his screening process that he takes into account the type of input that we're giving him at this point. So there's still plenty of time to give him input if you'd like to do so.
I told you a while ago that I want somebody who's equal or better than John, and that's going to be hard to do. So
Yeah, well, he took that and he said, "Okay, I know what to look for." Yeah.
We're looking at the mold right here now. Pour another one.
Yeah.
He's building a clone machine right now.
Yeah. So again, if he reaches out to you or you want to provide some input, it's always welcome. And my opinion is that even if you don't have a lot to say, it's worthwhile just to chat with him a little bit and hear what he has to say in terms of this process. So
I just forwarded that email, so it should be arriving shortly.
Thank you. So there is one item that we need to deal with under new business, and that's what salary range to put into the advertisement. So we'll get to that. But in terms of status, he's pretty much ready to roll once we make our decision. I'm going to move on to the vote to confirm the hiring. John, you and I, I read through the notes. It did look like we did vote to hire Paul.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Done.
I
I
think.
hope
the
so.
only-
We've already signed him up for everything.
Yeah, so I guess this one shouldn't be on here. Okay, so I'm just, unless somebody has a problem, I'm gonna strike that one. Okay, and then the Masons. Matt, you wrote a note. Do you want to go over that, please?
Sure. Let me just give you some background information, just as purpose of reminder. We had been asked by the Masons to look at the possibility of doing a longer term tax exemption for property taxes, because as they're preparing to rebuild their building, they've got some concerns about whether their organization is going to be able to sustain, if the town were to reverse its decision and start charging property taxes, whether they'd be able to sustain that or not. So we looked at the possibility of a longer term exemption, and effectively what we found out is that New Hampshire RSAs really stop us from doing that, that it needs to be a year by year situation. So I drafted a letter. Did this go out to folks? Do we know? John, did the letter go out to folks? It did. Susan,
I thought everyone saw it. I mean, I don't think it went to the Masons. I thought it went.
No,
out.
just to the board.
It's in our packet.
Okay. So I drafted a letter, and if there's feedback for that letter, I'd be happy to take it before we turn that around to send back to Mr. Tuttle.
I mean, as Matt said, there's nothing that we can do on a long-term basis, but I think we can ask them to write something up that can be used in the annual reviews to help facilitate it getting approved, but we can't guarantee it. So they need to know that clearly that we can't. And that's what Matt's letter accomplishes. I'm going to suggest we handle it this way. Take a final look at it, and by the close of business on Friday, if you have any comments back to Matt, get them to him. Otherwise, I'm going to ask that he send it out. Now, Matt, is it signed by all of us or just you? Or
I signed it from the board, which is why I'm soliciting the board input and asking for their consent to send that over. So I think once we've got the go-ahead from everybody, or at least the lack of problems with it, if we could get that onto letterhead and sent over, do you think that would
Sure,
be
I
possible?
can. Yeah, I can print on letterhead pretty easily. If you just send it to me, if you get it to me tomorrow, I can get it out. Otherwise, it would be next Tuesday when I'll be back in the office again.
Okay, everybody's comfortable with that going out?
Well, actually, I can just send the draft I have right here that I just forwarded the draft to everybody again, in case anybody didn't get it.
Thought it was well written.
Yeah, let me know if there are any changes anyone wants before noon tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, so maybe early afternoon tomorrow, get back to John if there's any edits or anything.
Then
Otherwise,
I think the only other issue that we need to take up in this regard is whether the board is willing to hear an appeal for. I mean, there is no building to tax this year, so I don't think it's going to be a real issue for this year.
It's very hard to give a charitable exemption for a vacant lot that's not being used. It really doesn't meet the charitable test.
Right.
the basis for us proving it would not be there. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. So the way we're leaving it then is, if anybody has any edits, please get them to John by early afternoon tomorrow. So let's say 2 o'clock. And then John, if you don't hear anything, send it out, please, on town letterhead.
The one thing I will need, Matt, is an address for Mr. Tuttle.
I will see what I can scare up. I'm not sure that I have one.
If you give me, if
nothing else, we can swing by the camp.
Find it from the tax file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the full name and where he lives, and not necessarily over the air, but when you send an email to me, then I can look it up.
Okay.
You can
Very
probably
good.
swing by his brother's establishment on Route 4 there, Matt. I think he's around that area.
The only issue is, does he have a post office box instead of a mailing address at the street? That's the one thing I don't know.
I'll track down an address, John. No
Okay,
problem.
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Matt. Oh, and Matt, you're up once again under new business for recently passed legislation.
Look at that. So this is an easy one and a quick one. So just wanted to fill folks in. The bill that we had asked Representative Corson to work on for us around the rules pertaining to public notice for public hearings, right? If you remember way back when we were talking about the fact that we're now paying out the nose to post notices in a newspaper that only a handful of Northwood residents were actually reading. So Representative Corson drafted legislation. He brought it to the floor. It made it through committee. In the process, they actually wound up attaching a whole bunch of really interesting things to it. And his little bill around public notice all of a sudden had something like $20 million in funding attached to it. So the good news is all of it passed without too much revision. The governor signed it the other day, and it's set to go into effect September 8th, 2020. So we will no longer need to notice our public hearings in a newspaper of general circulation. We can do the website and 2 spots, just like any other public notice that we're going to put up.
Excellent.
John, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, for years, the Municipal Association has been trying to get that passed, and the newspapers had a powerful lobby up until recently, but it's a sad, I mean, I'm glad that the bill passed, but it's a sad commentary on the loss of newspapers throughout the state, because they were a vital resource for local news and people knowing what was going on and keeping people informed. I know we've tried to get that passed for many years, and the fact that it could pass this year, I think, is a sign of something that is unfortunate, which is the demise of the newspaper industry.
Well, the problem is no newspaper actually covered Northwood.
Well,
You know,
and
so it was like you could put it here or there, but no one actually, you know.
And
well, without naming names, I found that in communities I was in, when I first started, I would have a news reporter come and see me every week, even though it was a small town from a neighboring place. And in the end, when I was in a big city, they wouldn't even show up hardly, you know, to ask questions. It's just, that's just they cut staff, and they would hire reporters that had no experience at journalism because of cost cutting, and the advertisement went elsewhere. But I know we're off topic, but
here we are a little bit.
I do appreciate Matt getting that passed.
Well, and I just wanted to publicly share our appreciation with Representative Corson for taking the ball and running with it. And
Yes,
you know, his term's up shortly, and he'll be missed representing Northwood.
good point.
I think that was a good show of how, you know, people pushing legislation can actually get it accomplished.
And adding 20 more things to it.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's another discussion topic, but yeah, I guess it shows the way the process works.
There you go.
And to
It's
John's
like
point-
sausage. You don't want to know how it's made someday.
Yeah. And to John's
Exactly.
point, we do sorely miss the Suncook Valley Sun. I have to tell you, that's a big hole. So at this point, I'm going to make one more shameless plug to have the voters please reconsider at the next vote the use of the cable funds for a town-wide non-political newsletter, similar to like
Sign.
Durham and some other towns.
And sign.
So anyway, that's my shameless plug. I'll move on. So now we're up to a request from Savannah to appoint some clerks, ballot clerks. I'm going to try to find the list. And let's see, where is her list? Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the following people.
Appoint, not approve.
Thank you. Ann Albert, Deborah Ward, Kurt Schreiber, Dana Hochgraf, Kenneth Curley, and just note those are the people that Savannah listed. In addition, I got a separate note from Nancy Borman, so I'm adding her to the list also. So do I have a motion to appoint all of those folks as ballot clerks, knowing that that would make them available for that specific duty, but also if they aren't actually working as a ballot clerk, they can also help us at the election for other things. For example, helping count ballots or other things that we might ask them to do, because it could be with the COVID a busy time. Beth?
The first 5 were recommended by the tax collector. Can we even do Nancy Borman, or does she have to go through the tax collector for her nomination first?
We are the appointees, so it's up to us.
Okay.
Can we hold off and have a recommendation through Savannah from the non-public tonight?
That's a separate subject, but yeah, we are going to talk about some stuff related to that tonight. So that, not this.
Well,
But
usually the town clerk has given us the list. That's why I asked that.
She's on, no.
No, a list for people to appoint. That's why I asked Helen, sorry.
So these are people that approached her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's asking, it's our job to appoint, and I don't know any reason why we can't add to the list. My only rule would be that the person that we add to the list would have to be somebody that expressed an interest. And I documented that with Nancy's letter. So I feel comfortable doing that. So do I have a motion to appoint all those people?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Tim. Is there a further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Actually, wait, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
We're appointing 6. So what's our total now? Do you have any idea?
Say that again, please.
We're now appointing 6 new people. So do we have enough now? Do we have to have 10 or 12 or something like that? Wasn't it?
So, you know, my feeling on this is you can never have enough.
Do we have enough now?
We can cover, but the problem is some of those folks, even now, might still have to do more than one 6-hour shift. And, you know, it's a hard job to sit there for 6 hours. And so if we can have some more people and pace them a little bit, maybe have them do 4 hours and have them greet for 2 hours or something. So my feeling is we get as many as we can so that Savannah has some leeway in terms of how to use them and when to use them and stuff.
Okay.
And you know, I'll be honest with you, with COVID, you know, who knows? You know, we could lose some of them just that quick. So I'd rather have us have extra than the reverse, because it can get miserable otherwise. Other discussion?
And we finalized and made up from all the last elections of the back pay and how much each person's making, right?
Yeah, we resolved all
Okay.
of that. Now, that said, Tim, we have yet to test the system since we wrote up that procedure. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, these folks need to submit via Savannah because, you know, technically they report to her. You know, the employment papers, and John will work out through those details with her. But yeah, we need to sort of click through that standard process. So John will task you with making sure we do that. Other questions?
Oh, reading Savannah's letter, it says, can you add Ann Albert to the list? So
Right.
we already appointed Deborah, Kurt, Dana, and Kenneth.
We did?
Yeah, listen. It says, can you add Ann Albert to the list for appointment? Below is the updated list. So did we already appoint the other 4?
I don't remember doing it, but does anybody else? I took this. I took this to read, she had the people listed and now she wants to add yet one more.
That's the way I read it.
Okay.
I move the vote.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Pam?
I said I move the vote.
Okay. We're voting on to stop discussion. So Tim, are you ready to stop this discussion on this?
Yep.
Yeah? Pam?
Yep.
Matt?
Yes.
And Beth?
Yes.
Okay.
And how?
And Hal is yes. Okay, so now we're voting on appointing this group of people. Pam?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Tim?
Yep.
And Hal. Okay. Thank you.
So
Next,
we may still have more people needed. So if people are interested, they should contact Savannah.
Savannah or us, but
Or us.
Savannah's probably the best.
Okay.
That way she can fill them in on what's expected better than we can,
Okay.
or at least better than me. And maybe she can make it sound like it's more fun than me too. I don't know.
If you act now.
Yeah. Okay, so now next up for discussion is what do we put into the advertisement for a new TA in terms of the upper salary limit? I know I had this discussion with Alan. Matt, did he discuss it at all with you?
He did.
Do you want to speak to it or you want me to?
I'd prefer if you do.
Okay. Basically what Alan said was if we want somebody similar in capabilities to John, maybe it's not, the same, amount of experience, and maybe it's not quite the same charm and wit, and all those types of things. But if you want somebody,
He's got his muck boots on.
if you want somebody like that, we're probably looking at least 85,000 a year. And he recommended we actually put a top limit of $95,000. He's afraid that if we advertise 70 or 72, the pool of candidates that we're going to get will not meet the kind of criteria that we're hoping for. So I personally share those thoughts. I look at what some of the other boards I'm on, what we pay folks. I look at some other nonprofits and stuff. And I think he's probably spot on. Doesn't mean we necessarily will get somebody that we're going to have to pay that much. But if we want somebody that's good and maybe can grow with the town and grow into the job, even if we might only pay them 80,000, we're not going to attract that person unless they can see that there's the potential for them to make more money in the future. And so I think it's going to be difficult if we don't advertise with that going up to $95,000. It's a lot of money, but I think my experience so far has shown that $10,000 or $20,000 more in this position can probably save us 3, 4, 5, 6 times that amount, if not more. And so I personally am comfortable with that, but I'm going to go around the table and ask everybody to weigh in. So I'll give you time to think while Matt talks. So Matt, do you want to speak to this? Or would you please speak to this, I should say?
Sure. So, I'm trying to be better about keeping our sort of fiscal constraints in mind in the forefront of my thinking as we move forward. But on this one, I I'm honestly in agreement with Hal in terms of if we're going to attract the kind of talent that we're saying we want. You know, Tim has said multiple times we want somebody as good or if not better than John. That's going to require us to open up the pocketbook. So I think it's probably worth an expenditure of that to get the quality and caliber of person we need to get us sort of headed in the right direction and on solid footing. That again, not to say that we're going to necessarily get that person and spend that money, right? So, but I'd be comfortable somewhere in the low 90s, all the way in, probably up to 95. Again, just for the listing's sake. And if we find that person who's worth it, we got to be willing to spend it, and it means cutting somewhere else, right?
It does. Pam, how do you feel?
Well, number one, I want to know what other towns with comparable population counts have as administrative salaries, which should be public knowledge. So we would be able to have a concept of what a municipality of our size, our population is currently paying on town administrator. I tend towards, what you and Matt were just saying, that, for quality, there is going to be a cost. And I will tell you that administrators, whether they be in an SAU or a town administrator, are very scarce. And we're seeing a lot of part-time or people coming out of retirement to do these roles. And again, the money there. I have a problem with going too high in the current situation that we're in. So I would be hard pressed to go to like 80 to start. I think what max is 72 of our step-in track. So, I mean, there's a big gap between 72 and 80.
There is.
I'm totally waiting for you to say, Pam, will you do it for 71? And I'd be like, yeah, but I'm not. Thanks. See, Beth, you know where I'm coming from is that there are a lot of people that are just working their butts out there. And this is a lot of money to expend. So I would be, Hal, and to be honest with you guys, I'm going to be like the cut the paper towel in half person and go, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Can we get a John who is well on his way to becoming the John of today, but can we get him, maybe when he was perhaps, 10 years before the time he is now?
Yes, you can.
John Jr. Is there a
You can.
Jr.?
But Alan's point very specifically was, you will not have that person apply if you don't show that person that ultimately they can grow into a larger pay scale.
And
So
that would take us adjusting step and track across the board. So I've got that problem that, you're going above step and track without having step and track in place.
If we get somebody that's of that caliber, that would be part and parcel with what we would have to do. We would have to set at least one new pay scale. What I'd like to do tonight, if we could please, is focus on the discussion on terms of what we advertise. We do certainly have to work through the mechanics of what do we do to support that vote once we know what candidates we have and stuff like that. But I think just to keep it very clear tonight, let's stick to what do we think we should put into the advertisement. So, well, Matt, if you
I already spoke.
if you could just please let the others speak first, and then we'll have seconds. So, Tim, how do you feel?
Obviously, you're gonna have to, pay for quality now. Is this for like the 3-year contract? Like is that going to be in the advertisement?
No,
or
No, I don't
So it's,
recollect anything being in the advertisement
Okay.
relative to contract time. Again, I think, we have to be flexible. We have to be willing. And, some of the things Alan talked about is maybe some of these things aren't salary. Maybe the 95 includes, something else, or maybe doesn't include benefits or something. We need to think about total package, but Alan is thinking, just solely in terms of what we advertise, not necessarily what we
Oh.
actually end up paying.
let's say we say 85 to 95, depending on qualifications, how much is like a single or a family plan of insurance? What's,
Well, it's typically been run.
25,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 25,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus
So,
retirement.
yeah, and maybe some folks. I mean, one of the things Alan mentioned, and again, we don't want to play all the cards up front here, but he said, maybe somebody doesn't need to get the retirement because they already have a retirement from something else. We don't really know how it's going to play out, and we don't really know who's going to apply. So it's kind of hard to say. And Matt, if I am saying something that differs from what Alan told you, I'd appreciate it if you'd speak up.
Nope, you're on track from what I remember.
Yeah.
well, I guess I'd be comfortable with like, 87 to 95,
Okay. So Tim, I'm
I'm,
gonna.
I'm with you guys, we got to, get quality, pay quality. So
Yeah, I'm just
it
going to
works out.
mention he's only looking for the upper range, and to Pam's point, if we have to set a new pay grade, we can definitely set a new pay grade that goes from maybe 70 to 95 or something like that. Or, maybe it's, two pay grades, a junior town administrator and a senior town administrator. And, we'd have to work all those out. But what really we need to focus on is, what are we willing to advertise, knowing that somehow we're going to have to, if somebody really, really good that we want is in that, let's say 90 to 95 range, we're going to have to figure out how to do it. And that includes budget and all the other logistics. So we need to either have a comfort level of, some number. I don't think we need, though, to set a lower limit, because to Pam's point, if you get somebody younger that you believe can really do the job and grow into it, well, we aren't going to pay somebody for, 20 years of experience if they only have 5. So I think focus on the upper limit for now. I'm going to move on to Beth. How do you feel, Beth?
I think it's a really big number in a default budget. I mean, we talked about, hiring a bookkeeper in the 70s, that's not budgeted for. We're not budgeted. What we're going to pay, we don't have the money. We got to start cutting something.
I think that's implicit. And that's really, quite frankly, some of the hard choices I think the town expects us to make. And, I think we would have to, for example, if we were, let's say, tasked with doing the default budget again this year and had to pay that salary, we'd be first of the year looking at what's not going to happen. And we'd have to be upfront with
I
folks.
think the town's already upset enough that we're not even open for business.
Mhm. Well, so what,
So probably have another default budget next year. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, we might, and then we'd have to make some tough choices. Something would have to come out. But again, I think it's
So you're thinking about making a labor grade 20? Is that what?
Well, I don't know, again, without knowing what kind of candidates we have, what their interests are, what their, level of experience and skill level are. I think it's kind of hard for me
There
to,
are other people, like the police chief is capped out. He is as high as he can go.
right. Right. No, that's absolutely right. I mean, that's why we're having this discussion. We need to, as a group, agree on what we're comfortable with. Again, no. So, so I'm going to force you to say something, Beth. I mean, what would you like, or what are you feeling right now should be the upper limit?
$85,000. That person better be fantastic.
I think you can get a pretty good person.
No, I want fantastic.
We're not going to get fantastic for that.
No.
Did we circle back around? Can I say anything?
Okay, so let's see. I went first. I'll let Matt go first this time around.
So I just wanted to, I looked up while we were chatting, I did, some quick Googling. The median salary for this position in the state of New Hampshire, so statewide, is 98 and change. So that means that if we were looking at 95, that puts us around the median. Now, I started to then try to look for towns by population comparison. And they're going to be sort of all over, and I ran out of time. But just to get us in the sort of mental framework of what we're talking about from a statewide perspective, 95 it's not out of the realm of possibility. And for me, it's one of those things that we say it all the time. We got to pay our people what they're worth, and we got to start somewhere.
John, do you remember what Tamworth brought their person in for, or what they advertised? I recollect Alan said 100,000, but I'm not absolutely certain on that. Or maybe it was another town.
Tamworth's is somewhat of a different situation because they're a smaller town.
Oh,
they're under 3,000, running a much smaller operation than Northwood. And what they have is a combined finance town administrator position. And they're coming in below what you're talking about, but it's a whole different employment situation up in that area. They had 24 applications for the finance position. So it's quite different in terms of people seeking a job compared to what we received when we advertised, and we only got 4.
Could a finance TA work down here? The combination work here, do you think?
No, you're too big an operation for that.
Ooh, Northwood. Finally, someone said we're big.
Tim, did you want, oh, wait, so we did Matt. So Tim, did you want to say some more?
Yeah, I mean, we're paying, MRI to, find us something and get us all set up. I mean, obviously they're in the business of, setting the prices and stuff and have a better idea. So, I mean, I would go with their, recommendation of, the salary. So, I mean, I have pretty good confidence in, the company so far. So, I mean, give them, so.
Okay, so Pam, do you want to?
The experts on this matter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tim, I cut you
You
off.
should probably listen to the experts on this matter who knows, who's out there in the price range and the scales and stuff. So.
Yeah, I'm going to speak next if you don't mind. And, quite frankly, I had the same concern. How are you going to deal with the extra money and stuff? And I did start much lower with Alan. But as he kept talking and went through the different towns that he's helped and stuff, it became pretty clear that in terms of, level of competence and experience and stuff, I think it's going to be difficult without it being at 95. But that's just my reading of him. Pam, I'll let you speak again.
I will be emailing Alan just to talk with him because you guys are getting some, you and Matt have some good info from him. I like Matt's input on the median income is because we know that median is where most fall. It's not an average. It's a median. So that's a good number, Matt. Thank you. Again, I'll do like Matt did and do some Googling and see what comfortable town populations are paying. But I'm hard pressed to, go up in the 95 range. I'm just, I'm with Beth on what do you lose to pay a person that? And it's a roll of the dice. What are we giving up? Because it's a tough year for that. I would be more of what you first said, have a 80 with some incremental tracks in line that would get up into the 90, 95 range. But I just, boy, if you bring somebody in at top, then the floodgate is open and that top person's only going to want more in a couple of years. So yeah, I don't think that ever works out great.
Okay. Let's see. And Beth, you want to speak again?
John, what's the job actually worth?
Well, it's a difficult to put a number on it. It really depends upon who you can find at what salary you can find them. You mentioned I think if you want to hire mid-career, you're going to have real trouble hiring somebody mid-career that's in the field and been in the field for a while. Because I think they're looking up in the 120,000 range based on working in cities and elsewhere. At the beginning of a career and at the retirement end of a career, you probably are able to hire less expensive. It all depends upon how much training you want to do for a person and develop and bring along that person. I would say that several years ago, the mid 70s were hiring you people that were new to the field. So I fully agree that talking in the 70s is not going to get you other than somebody who's really at the start of their career.
So with all of our quirkiness of our town, could someone starting their career actually handle this town?
Oh, I shouldn't shake my head. Sorry, John, go ahead.
I'm looking at Matt's eyes got big.
I think there are challenges in this town which would require a firmer hand and an experienced manager who has several years under their belt at a minimum. I don't see somebody at the start of their career doing it. I do see somebody at the end of the career like myself with a lot of experience, if you could find somebody, but that, it's tough to find somebody in that field because they're retiring. The profession has really aged out. There were a lot. I can remember going to a conference 15 years ago and they were talking about the problem with aging and everybody was about my age. Well, 15 years later, a lot of them are retiring and they're having trouble filling in all of the vacancies. So I think that you're going to want somebody with municipal experience. You might get lucky with somebody out of the military that's retired military, but my general experience with them is that they're used to taking and giving orders in a structured environment, and municipal government is anything but that. I mean, you need to build consensus. You need to work with various people with different personalities. The The same goes for business people that are used to being able to call all the shots without understanding the consensus building that goes on. Somebody from the nonprofit sector might work out all right from that kind of a background. But in general, finding somebody who has the municipal experience, I think, is your best bet.
So we need to find someone that has like what, 5-6 years experience? Would that be the minimum you think that could?
Depends upon the kind of experience. I remember it used to be said of teachers, there are some teachers with 20 years of experience, and there are some teachers with 1 year of experience 20 times.
We know that, right, Pam?
Yeah, been there, done that.
So
yeah, and it's the
I'm
same
just
thing with
thinking
management.
if you're thinking like we need to have someone that's at least, 5-6 years experience, then that's gonna, even if we did the scale starting at 70, that's still not, it's gonna bring us closer to 80.
I don't see you getting somebody with 3 years of experience at 70 because they're already making 70 where they are.
Right.
I know of several that were hired in the last 2 or 3 years, entry level, and they were all in the mid 70s.
We talked about doing a finance person starting at 70. So, I mean, there's more work for the TA than I would assume.
The TA needs a differing set of skills. They both need to be well skilled in different ways. When we get, I think that you probably can't afford to hire 2 high-priced finance and town administrator. I would say you, at this point, look for a good town administrator and someone who is able to manage someone with less experience as a finance person would be a good direction to go.
Okay.
So that you don't have to pay top dollar for a finance person. But again, it all depends upon who you can find in the market and how they then proceed. But just from a budget standpoint, if you're going to pay 70 for finance and 85, that's 150 for what before you were paying 125 or there, but give or take. I mean, those are rough numbers and it doesn't include benefits. But on the other hand, paying for talent could save you on some other staff expenses in that they're going to be able to be more efficient in terms of what gets done.
You
So
know,
you think
That
80
answer your question,
80
Beth?
95?
95 is going to get a lot of play out there. I also think it's going to get some pushback from the budget committee and the people that are concerned with being in a default budget. On the other hand, if you average to 95, it doesn't mean you have to hire up there because depending on qualifications, it will, if you advertise a range, but I think anything that doesn't have an 8 or a 9 at the front of it's going to result in a small crop of really qualified candidates.
I just want to reinforce that point, right? I mean, setting the upper limit doesn't mean that's what we're going to pay.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, I echo that because what Alan was saying was they need to see the ability to grow into a position. But again, we're speculating on who we might get without the benefit of advertising.
Yeah, and frankly, what I would expect somebody to want to do on their initial contract is they're willing to start at a lower rate as long as they're guaranteed a couple of raises so that they can see, more than a 1% increase in the next 2 or 3 years. And if you do that, then you've got to make sure that you're going to be able to work if you're in a default budget situation, because you're going to have to cut somewhere else to make it work.
Yeah, I got a question for the folks that didn't speak to Alan. Because my sense is that Matt and I are dealing with the benefit of some discussion with him. And maybe this is making it a little bit unfair for the discussion to have you folks on equal footing. Would folks be comfortable? I would like to move this forward, but I would also like to move forward with everybody either feeling comfortable, or at least understanding a little bit better what we're really going for here. Would folks be willing, the three that didn't speak to Alan, would you mind speaking with Alan, if not necessarily about qualifications, at least to this point, to hear directly from him what his feedback is in terms of his experience, in terms of trying to hire folks and stuff? I just feel a little bit uncomfortable that I'm passing the information on. I mean, Matt's sort of nodding his head when I'm speaking, but how do folks feel about, for example, Beth, Tim, and Pam calling Alan or, speaking with him in some way between now and, let's say, Friday or something, and then we call a short meeting on Friday or a short meeting on the following Tuesday to set this. I just don't feel comfortable right now that everybody feels comfortable enough with the discussion and the information. Am I reading that correctly? That maybe a little bit more time would help folks, or are people pretty much set?
I mean, I know we have to pay that. I understand that. I'm worried what we're going to cut. Because we're going to have to cut something. We're going to have to cut $20,000 at least.
Probably closer to 30.
Yeah. I mean, you got retirement, then you have, a benefit, benefit
All
package.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
We're
disagree.
in default budget already. I mean, some of our departments have, are overspent due to COVID. I mean, that's nothing we can do about that. So we have to start tightening the belt soon. So.
Yeah. The other, yeah, okay. So I guess on this one, my personal preference would be that we're all sort of holding hands, and at least if we're not singing Kumbaya, we're singing at least something similar to that. And I don't sense that we're quite there yet. Do you think having a chance to speak with Alan would let us have a better discussion and wrap this up, or do we want to try to act on this now? What's the board's pleasure? Pam, how do you feel?
I've already said I'll be talking to Alan in the next day or two, so I've already said I will do that.
Okay.
Gather some input.
And are you comfortable holding off on the decision until then?
100%.
Okay.
I would not be representing this town if I did not.
Okay. Tim, are you willing to hold off a little bit till either you have a chance also to talk to Alan, or at least wait for Pam and others to do so?
No, I'll wait for Pam, because I said my schedule this week is, unless he's going to answer his phone at 5 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock at night when I get home and get settled, it's not going to happen. So
we can't afford his fee at 10 o'clock at night.
That's right. So, but no, I will definitely wait to, Pam. And like I said, Matt and Hal, you've talked to the gentleman. So, you know.
Yeah.
You steer me wrong. I know where both you live, so it would be all right.
That's true. Yeah. And if I'm not at the house, I'm over at the other property.
Yeah.
You know where that is too.
Yeah, we can throw eggs at Matt's new paint job, so we're all set.
Okay. Again, I just sense that we're not quite gelled on this, and so if people don't object, let's plan this then. Pam, you please talk to Alan, and Beth, if you could. I think it would, if you could.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And then, how about we just quick?
It's got to get done, but it's all the Yankee New Englanders we're all talking right now. You know what I mean? So it's a tough stuff. It's a lot of money, but
Well, that's why I want to be sure, and I just don't sense. I know we don't always have to vote 100% the same way, but this is something important enough that I feel we're not, even if we didn't vote all the same, we're just not comfortable enough yet. So let's do some more information gathering, and then Pam, actually we all have a little bit more time to look at some other numbers, talk with other folks. So my only question then would be, for a very short meeting, either Friday or Monday or Tuesday, what's folks' preference for
I'd say
this?
next Tuesday. would be-
Very short.
Nothing else on the agenda next
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Friday.
Hey, I try to hold to that rule, and then everybody says, oh, how? Since we're meeting on Tuesday, I'll hold to that. So Tuesday sounds like the day. Matt, are you
So
available?
I have a recreation commission meeting that night, which we've got a lot to cover. My preference would be to look at the Monday or Friday.
Okay, are people
I
available?
jump on Monday before Friday.
Friday, that way it's done this week.
Friday?
Yeah.
Tim, are you okay with Friday?
All right. 6, 7, 6.
Well, let's wait for Pam, and then she's,
Oh, she left. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Friday the 31st?
Yes.
This Friday.
Yeah, Friday's good.
Okay.
Okay, so Friday, what time, folks?
I'd like to get it out of the way.
Want to do 6?
6?
AM.
Yeah, I can be available then, but I think 6 p.m. is probably better. Okay, so we're going to defer this to 6 p.m. Friday. I do
Get
appreciate,
that posted, right,
Get out
Susan?
there.
Thank you.
yeah, please, let's make sure we got it posted. And it does have to be a public discussion. So Susan, I guess I have enough experience running the Zoom. If you don't want to, I'll take a stab at it, but it'd be better if you joined us. I'll be honest with you.
Let me, I'll take the minutes and save Susan having to join us. So I'll do the Zoom and the minutes.
Okay, great.
Susan,
Great.
could you set up the meeting though?
Set it up and post it. Well, I'm gonna email.
Do everything
Yeah.
like that, but I'll bring everybody in and,
And take Friday night off, Susan. Nice.
And
Okay.
So I still have to turn it on and listen.
Susan, make sure I'm included in that meeting email. I think I just got, being new, I just got left off the list and didn't get the email.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my buddy Beth sent it over to me.
Susan, the one thing I have not done yet is, I mean, I've used Zoom a lot, but I've never used live on YouTube. So you'll have to just watch.
I can get it all going for you. I can listen. I'm not doing anything else.
What's
Sorry.
one more evening
Well,
on?
he's gonna admit that. Yeah, I have nothing to do on Friday or Saturday night.
I don't do very much these days.
Yeah.
We're too scared of people.
And we'll crunch some numbers.
Okay, so Friday at 6 p.m., we'll try to wrap this up. I appreciate everybody helping on that. Okay, I'm going to move on. Actually, could we, geez, I think my wife's phone is going off the hook here. Can we take a 2-minute bio break and come back? And I have 8:01, come back before 8:05 if you would, please.
So can someone get me Alan's phone number so I can call him tomorrow?
I'll get that when I come back.
All right, thank you. Oh, never mind, I found it.
Yeah, it should be right in the email there.
Yeah, I found it. All right, quick, go to the bathroom.
Is he giving us another one? Is this
You
our
get to go to the
only
bathroom
break?
now. You get to go pee.
Is it our only break, or do we
Yeah.
get is it like, do we get a second breakfast?
I know.
Where did everybody go? Wow.
Yeah, they all left. They ran.
So is this my musical interlude?
It is.
Oh.
Interpretive dance.
Yeah, what would I sing?
Oh, we're still live on YouTube. Be careful.
I know. Hal will get mad at me again.
Is your school going back? Have they decided yet?
No, we're up in the air. You?
Still up in the air. They have a meeting on Thursday.
So much to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so much to consider. And I've got like all this great stuff for the classroom and, like a new phone, the elephant phone. And I'm trying to think, like we do mystery items. So I don't know if you saw the Facebook about the tea kettle mystery item.
Yeah.
In a normal setting, we could pass those around. So the kids have, kinesthetic. They get to hold the artifact, look at it,
Right.
try not to drop it, which somebody always does. But this way, it's like, okay, I got a desktop camera, so I can move it as they direct, and they
Oh,
can see
yeah.
it projected.
Yeah.
But that's not the same. I mean, the world of reality versus what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm kind of at a mix for how do you teach that, weight and what's it feel like?
Right.
What's it look like?
Right.
Does it smell? Those type of things.
Yeah.
So I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss that. And then, oh my God, what do you do about colored pencils and stuff?
I know.
The big Crayola box, never rose art.
No.
So,
The big Crayola box, you can't. Got to keep that under in the closet.
so Beth, do you
Yes.
have Alan's number or do you
Yes,
need it?
I found it. Thank you, Hal.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, John, if you want to apply,
Thanks for the thought.
I was not the only one thinking that.
Are you in on this too?
I even said to him the other day, I'm like, so how about staying on? Question mark.
Yeah, we're adorable. He must, yeah. Why not?
I mean, John, look at the benefit. You could work with me every single day.
all right. So think of something else.
I mean,
I'm gonna sell the
Wow,
job.
thanks, Beth.
no, I think the town has a lot of potential. And I think that with the right leadership, you're really going to be able to get things straightened out and continue to make some significant improvements. And that's why I think this is such a critical decision as to who you hire for this position.
Right.
And how well that person can communicate with you, with the board, with the public, with staff. How does the person have the respect of staff so they believe and are willing to work towards a common goal? One of my favorite photographs is a picture of a sled dog team. There's a collie, there's a chihuahua, there's a pit bull, one husky, and it's the caption is they're all pedigreed, but are they really a team? And I think that the key is to get everybody going in the same direction with the same goal.
Ooh, NASCAR.
So that's what you really need.
Okay, oh, we had Tim. Oh, there he is. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next item, which is to reappoint Fred Borman to a 3-year term for the Conservation Commission. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Oh, second.
Second, any discussion on this? I will say that Fred has served admirably to this date, so I would certainly agree with reappointing him. His background is in this general area. He's a forester or knows forestry and stuff. So I think he's a good candidate to continue in this role. So we'll do a roll call vote. Matt?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
And Hal is yes. Okay, next up is reappointment of somebody named Pamela Sanderson
Oh,
to the
no,
zoning board for
I've
3 more
heard
years.
about her.
oh,
Yeah, so
Running around our town, running around our town.
so number one, who?
So do I have a motion to appoint Pam back to the zoning board?
So moved.
And we have there was a pregnant pause there.
Second.
Second, okay, thank you. Roll call vote. Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Pam. I guess you
Can I
have
vote on
things.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, and Hal is yes. So congratulations.
And then did you
And
say Matt?
I wanted to vote for Pam too.
let's skip you.
Yep.
Did Pam vote yes, or did she abstain? I didn't
I
really hear.
did.
She voted.
Matt
And
votes
Matt-
yes.
She voted for herself.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just didn't hear. I couldn't hear.
It was a yay.
Yeah, you didn't hear Matt?
No, I didn't hear Matt
Yeah,
until
Matt,
he
yes.
said, "Can I vote too?" And then I
Oh,
heard Matt.
okay. I'm sorry, Matt. Okay, and now I'd like a motion to accept Matt Fowler's resignation with regrets from the zoning board. Do I have a motion for that, please?
I'd like to make that motion
Okay.
to accept Matt Fowler's resignation with deepest regrets.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Tim,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and Hal is yes.
So
Okay.
Pam, are there openings now on the zoning board
Yes,
or?
ma'am. There are
Yes.
openings.
Yes. Do you know anyone? Yes.
We
Those
have we have two openings of the 5 members plus alternates. And if you're looking to get involved in the town and interesting stuff, it really is. I've loved doing it and highly recommend you get in touch.
Way more fun than the planning board.
Way
Oh,
more.
hold on a second.
The planning board has like blueprints.
Yeah,
Right.
big
We
piece of
have
paper to draw on.
balloons.
Yeah.
The color of the blueprints. It's very cool.
Okay, I'm going to move on. Our focus topic tonight, which isn't a real big focus, but I just wanted to bring it up. There's a couple things that we've been meeting with John, Ginger, myself, and most recently for the past 2 meetings, also Pam. We call it the Budfin meeting. One of the goals is to, make sure we understand where we are with the budget, make sure we are reporting things in a way that we understand. So to that point, we had discussions with Ginger regarding how we report monthly expenditures. The agreement is that we will always print the monthly expenditure report based on the actual end of the month as the transaction date. We want to just do that so it's consistent month to month throughout the whole year. Now, this will mean that, for example, when they print out based on transactions in this latest one, based on the 30th of June, there will be some POs from June that haven't made it into the queue yet or been processed. And so that expenditure will not show up. Now, we do have a policy where we try to encumber appropriate expenditures. So those you can look up and see where we've done that. But for sort of the run-of-the-mill stuff, there is going to be definitely some stuff that is attributable to June that will not show up in the June expenditure report as we are handling it now. So you need to be aware of that and factor that into your thinking when you're looking at the numbers. The other thing that we did, and this was at the request of the Budget Committee also, was that we changed the prior year to show the full year's expenditure. Many people thought that that was a more meaningful approach. I know that as a select board, we have discussed that and we have actually gone back and forth. And since the budget committee had a definite preference, we went with their preference. Again, we're trying to work cooperatively and really try to stay consistent across the board. And doing this then lets everybody look at the same numbers all the way through. Over the last 2 sessions, and we typically meet, well, we've been meeting every week so far. For the past 2 sessions, we made 2 passes at then projecting what we think the budget is going to end up at, or the spending is going to end up at the end of the year. Yes, there's some things that get encumbered and they're taken into account in the report itself, but then there are some things that aren't appropriate to encumber. For example, Mr. Colby, not Tim, but the finance person, and Greg, we don't know if we're going to continue with them, and our expectation is that maybe some of them will roll off, in particular Glenn. So there's no definitive contract for them or anything like that, so we can't properly encumber that, but we do need to take into account in our projections that those costs may indeed still continue through part of the year. So we went down through basically every item on the budget, and we looked at both the gross line item, meaning the subtotal line, and some of the individual lines. I sent you that spreadsheet so you can see the details. What it looks like right now is order of magnitude, we're projecting that we'll end up positive, i.e. Within budget by about $100,000. I think the actual number on the spreadsheet's 113 or something, but I don't want you to imply that we know down to the last $1,000. We don't know that. It's a projection. There could be surprises. We could learn something else. I expect the BudFin committee is going to continue to work on this, continue to look at it, continue to project. Right now, I don't think we need to take any draconian action, but we do need to keep an eye on everything. And I think once we have our next meeting and we've had a chance for this to sink in a little bit, we might come back with some other recommendations. But for right now, just please take a look at the spreadsheet, see if you have any questions, and I'd certainly be willing to answer them via email, or we can just take them up, not at the meeting on Friday night, but at the next regular Board of Selectmen's meeting. Does anybody have any questions in terms of what they've seen or had a chance to look at so far? And I would understand if not, because it just came out this afternoon. But does anybody have any questions in terms of what we're trying to do or how we're trying to do it? Okay. I do want to thank Pam for joining, because I think it's good to have a second pair of eyes. She's already demonstrated some of her frugality, or whatever the word is.
And humor. I cracked you up today.
Yeah. So you know, I like that she's there and that second pair of eyes. And I think this sort of indicates the importance that it is overall that we have 2 select board members on this committee. So thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
I have nothing else to go over on the agenda, but I would like to go into non-public for a short session. It has to do with, we need to approve minutes, and we also need to discuss reputation, or have a discussion that could affect a person's reputation. So I'd like to do that now. Could I have a vote to go into non-public, a motion to go into non-public, please?
I passed over, well, you guys have hosting. You can just move me to a waiting room.
Say that again, Susan. I missed that.
I just
Just
need,
give the,
yeah.
give the
you
host
guys have-
duties to Matt.
Oh, okay. I'll
Yeah,
give it to Matt.
give the hosting to Matt, and then we'll come back out. So do I have a motion to go into non-public?
Oh, wait, hold on.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
And,
turn everything off first.
well, we have to vote in public.
Right, right.
So Beth and Tim seconded it. Pam, how do you vote?
I'm a yes.
Okay, thank you. Matt,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and Hal is yes. Okay, so we're going to go into non-public, just the board